Welcome to Finance First Friday. Today we're going to answer the question, what is a 403B? First, an overview. A 403B is a retirement plan for employees of public school systems. Its more well-known cousin, the 401k, is the analog for private industry. The 403B was first created in 1958, a full 20 years before the 401k was born, and was originally only for people who worked for nonprofits. In 1961, 403Bs were extended to public school employees, and at that time, the only product available was an annuity. This gave rise to the name tax-sheltered annuity, a name that has stuck around despite the fact that more than just annuities are available to us educators. The bottom line is this. This is an account where you can stick that money you're saving for retirement to let it grow more than it would in a regular savings account. Wait, if we have a pension, why do we need to save for retirement? A couple of months ago, we looked at the gap, the difference between what you'll need to have saved for retirement and your current saving level. Remember, your pension will cover probably between 30% and 50% of your income, depending on which VRS plan you're in and how long you work. Social Security will add a bit more. But if you want to be comfortable in retirement, you need to save now to fill that gap. When you use the retirement planner in My VRS, you can add in 403B savings as other investments to help close the gap. So, let's get into the specifics about the 403B. Every retirement plan has a limit to how much you can save per year. In the 403B, the limit is pretty high. For 2021, the savings limit was $19,500. That number has gone up to $20,500 for 2022 due to the high inflation we've been feeling recently. If you're coming to the 403B a little later in life, good news. There are a few catch-up provisions to allow people to save even more money toward retirement the closer they get. The first is the age 50 catch-up. Beginning in the calendar year that you turn 50, you're eligible to save an additional $6,500 past the annual maximum. And regardless of your age, if you've worked for the same organization for 15 years or more, there's another special catch-up that could allow you to put in an additional $15,000 over 5 years. In our 403B, we're allowed to make both pre-tax contributions and post-tax, or what are called Roth, contributions. You have the choice about whether you want to pay taxes on your contributions now or later. Regardless of which option you choose, or if you choose a little of both, your cap for 2022 is still $20,500. So why save in a 403B retirement account and not just a regular savings account with your bank? A 403B retirement account is an account designed for investing. All investing involves risk, but with that risk comes the greater potential for reward. Regular savings accounts are very safe places to store your money. And so the reward associated with them, that is the interest you earn each month, is very low. The average interest rate for savings accounts right now is 0.05%. Your money is safe, but you're only earning 5 cents on every $100 you put there. And so because of that, your money isn't really growing. In fact, it's shrinking. The interest rate of a savings account doesn't even come close to keeping up with the typical 1 to 2% rate of annual inflation, let alone the 6% inflation we felt in 2021. When you invest your money, however, you put your money to work, and it has the potential to grow hundreds of times more than it would in a savings account. The average growth of the stock market year over year is somewhere between 5% and 8%. That doesn't mean the stock market will grow that much every year. There will be up years and down years. But a long-term investor can expect an average of 5 to 8% over 30 years. If you want to save for retirement and you aren't doing some kind of investing, you're not actually saving at all. So, why a 403b and not some other way to invest, like a regular brokerage account? The government has incentivized retirement savings plans by allowing you to defer any growth on your investments until you actually withdraw the money in retirement. With a regular brokerage account that isn't part of a retirement plan, you can definitely invest and make money, but you'll have to pay taxes on the dividends and capital gains each year as you go. With a retirement account, you can earn dividends and capital gains each year, and you won't actually have to pay taxes on that money until you withdraw it from the account. That allows the money that stays in the account that you're not paying taxes on to continue growing and compounding year after year. As a part of that incentive plan to save for retirement, the government has also placed limits on when you can access that money. The money, after all, is supposed to be used to help you in your golden years, not be splurged on a trip to Vegas. For the 403b, age limits are put in place to keep your money in the retirement account until you're nearing the age when you can likely retire. Once you reach 59 and a half, you can begin to withdraw the money from your 403b. Just remember, if you made pre-tax contributions, you'll have to claim the money as income and pay taxes in the year you withdraw it. Another provision that is especially relevant to teachers is something called the Rule of 55. Lots of teachers start teaching right out of college and end up eligible to retire from teaching in their early to mid-50s. The Rule of 55 allows people who have separated from their employer and are at least 55 years old to begin withdrawing money from their 403b so they can start their retirement. The money in your 403b is yours, so you have rights to use it when you need to. However, again, to encourage keeping it there until your actual retirement, the government has also imposed a penalty for early withdrawals. Withdrawing the money before you're either 59 and a half or 55 and retired from your 403b related job means you'll owe an extra 10% penalty on top of whatever taxes you have to pay. Ouch! Probably best to avoid touching that money until you're old enough. The 403b sounds great, right? Well, it is, but it's not perfect. There are some drawbacks to using a 403b. Compared to other retirement plans that we'll discuss in future videos, 403bs are not very regulated. This comes from the fact that 403bs were on the scene first and were marketed towards the predominantly female field of teaching. After all, women in the 50s had husbands to do all the financial planning, right? And we teachers should just be grateful we have any retirement plans at all. Doesn't matter what's in them. Those attitudes have created a fairly lawless space for insurance companies to latch onto and sell their very high-cost products to us. But 401ks, which were created in the late 70s for the predominantly white male space of private industry, are much more well-regulated to protect the employees from these kinds of high-fee products. You wouldn't see anything like what's in a 403b available in a 401k. Just another perk of devoting your life to the noble cause of education. 403bs are also pretty limited in the availability of investment types. In a 403b, you can't have some of the more popular investment types like individual stocks or bonds. Think a few shares of Walmart or Apple. Nor can you invest in real estate, futures, crypto, etc. You really only get two choices: mutual funds, which is like a fruit salad of stocks or bonds, and the namesake dish of the 403b, tax-sheltered annuities, which come in two main flavors, fixed and variable. I'm not going to dive into either one of these right now. We'll save those talks for another day. Now, if you've been teaching in VBPPS for a while, You might remember when we get emails or hear announcements on staff days made about a financial planner or a representative from a certain company who would set up shop in the library or the teacher's lounge and would take appointments to talk about saving for retirement. At my school, one particular salesperson always seemed to get special access to a large group of wide-eyed teachers at faculty meetings, by virtue of being a dad to a few students at the school. VBCPS held contracts with about 10 different companies that would come in and peddle their 403B products to us and probably feed us free sandwiches or something to get us in the door. Maybe you're familiar with names like VALIC, which is now AIG, AXA Equitable, Mass Mutual, Ameriprise, and a half dozen more. Maybe you even signed up for a 403B with one of those companies years ago. I know I did. Well, in 2019, Virginia Beach signed a contract with a single 403B vendor, Voya. And beginning in December 2019, you could no longer contribute to your old 403B plan or open an account with any of those old vendors. All new accounts and contributions head to Voya. To VBCPS's credit, forcing the companies to compete for a bid to be the single 403B provider was actually a good strategy to help lower costs. Unfortunately, Voya is still an insurance company with some not so great options lurking inside its walls, although it has some good options too. So, with this new knowledge of what a 403B is, what action can you take this month? First of all, if you have an old 403B, go dig up some information about it. Do you know how to access your account online? Remember your username and password? Do you know who you're investing with and what you're invested in? How much money do you have saved? You can add that information to the retirement planner in My VRS to see how much that helps close the gap. Even if you're starting at zero, you can gain some information about what a little saving in a 403B can turn into. Go to the bankrate.com calculator that's linked in the description and play with some numbers. You can put in your current salary, the percentage of your salary you want to save, your current age and the age at which you expect to stop working, and your current balance with Voya if you have one. For the annual rate of return, 5% is considered conservative, so if you're not too risky an investor, while 8% is considered more aggressive. The investment fee for Voya should probably be around 1%, depending on what you're invested in. But tinker with the numbers and see what happens. What if you save a higher percentage of your salary? What if you're a little more aggressive and have a higher rate of return? What if you work an extra year or two? Or what happens if you find an investment with lower fees? We're going to have a whole video on that later this year. What will that do to your final account balance? This calculator is all about gaining some understanding of what is possible and feasible for you. Finally, if you're thinking about enrolling in a 403B with Voya, or even if you already have, it might be worth taking a look at some of the information that can be found on the VBCPS 403B website that is also linked in the description below. There are plan documents available to read and an Enroll Now button to get you started. You can also make an appointment to talk to plan representatives who are actually representatives and not salespeople. The good news about VBCPS moving to one company is that the people that they've retained to talk to us are not here to sell us anything. After all, our district has already bought what they're selling. Their interests aren't in making sales commissions, but in helping you understand what your options are. In our next talk, we'll be discussing another retirement plan option, the 457B. This one isn't quite as well known, but it can be a good choice for lots of teachers. And if you've already opened a 403B, but you want to know about the 457B too, don't worry, you can have both. Now, go do your homework and enjoy your well-deserved weekend.